Pete Hegseth was asked a very reasonable question on Fox News about Donald Trump's plan to get the homeless out of D.C., which is where will the homeless go? And Pete Hegseth goes, that is not my lane. Now, before I play the clip, there's a bigger issue here. In a normal functioning democracy, none of this would be Pete Hegseth's lane. And what I mean by that is he's the Secretary of Defense. I know that he's not qualified. I know he has no business being the Secretary of Defense, but he is. In a normal world, the Secretary of Defense wouldn't be dealing with housing, homelessness, and poverty. They just wouldn't, right? Civilian agencies would be, local government, social services, public health officials. The Secretary of Defense shouldn't even have a role in this. So when Pete goes, where the homeless will be sent to isn't really my thing, he shouldn't even be involved in this.
And the National Guard going to be picking up these tents. So the homeless tents are all over the city. They're up K Street Tunnel. There are some dotting along the area here. There were more before. Some of them have been cleared out. What about those?
We're working with the marshals and alongside them, alongside Park Police, alongside everybody else. Wherever they need the National Guard to assist, we're happy to be there.
Do you know where the homeless people are going to go?
That's not really my lane.
Yeah.
Our job is to stand alongside law enforcement.
Yeah. Nobody's really concerned with that, actually. So his response is pretty illuminating in that sense. This is just classic authoritarianism. The Pentagon talking openly about domestic policing and immigration enforcement, security operations in American cities. This is not the role of a Secretary of Defense. This is what happens when you have an authoritarian takeover. And authoritarians love to blur the lines between military and civilian authority. Just make it blurry, and then I want to do whatever I want. And so when the Secretary of Defense gets involved in this, even though he shouldn't be, and he's on cable news being asked, where will the homeless Americans be sent that you're going to participate in kicking out? He doesn't know. It's just not his thing. Authoritarian playbook. You normalize military involvement in domestic law enforcement. It gets really easy to deploy troops for more and more civilian matters, protests, political dissent, immigration sweeps. And now just for poverty, there's poor people, get the Secretary of Defense involved. This is a nightmare. And as usual, we are hearing a lot of seeing a lot of shrugging. Yeah, all right. I mean, I guess. And so this isn't Hegseth's lane, but the entire project isn't Hegseth's lane. And the Department of Defense has been kind of sucked into domestic law enforcement and governance. And part of what is happening here is propaganda by job title. By having the Secretary of Defense comment on homelessness, even if he says it's not in my lane, you're telling the audience, this isn't a social issue. Homelessness is not just a social issue. It's a security issue. And of course, in some nominal way, when a homeless person commits a crime, you could go, well, it is kind of a security issue. But the idea that it's a national security issue of the sort that a Secretary of Defense would deal with is laughable. And it's reframing poverty as a threat. They love to criminalize poverty. This reframes poverty as a threat using fear-based ideology, which is what they love to do. The, I believe, accurate way to look at this would be to say, poverty is a social issue that needs to be alleviated by working together with a number of different areas of government. Instead, this is a national security issue. You need tanks and you need the Secretary of Defense. You might start with cleaning up homeless encampments, but next thing you know, you are shutting down protests that are legal or raiding political opponents or enforcing ideological purity. And so that's not fear-mongering. That is what authoritarian regimes around the world do. And it's terrifying that this is going on. Now, on the bonus show today, we're going to talk a little more about Pete Hegseth. We're going to talk about who is now going to be in charge of the jobs numbers. It's absolutely terrifying. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's worried about reports about massive wealth jumps. What is that all about? On the bonus show today, sign up at joinpakman.com. I'm going to see you then.